And we get to the top and we go, Bill. And they go, dun, dun, dun. And as we drop, we go, 5 things you find at a roller coaster park. And he'd be like, I don't know. I don't know. Jennifer, what about you? She goes, corn dogs. What did you say? Corn dogs.
Today's podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. Get $20 off your first order when you use my code NASH. What's up, guys? Today's podcast is one of my favorites. My voice is gone. I just got back from my bachelor party, and we were screaming the entire time. And I need to tell you that I am going on tour. Yes, go to jasonnashtour.com. Come see me. First show is July 7th in Boston. We had to move a few dates around. But yes, first show, July 7th in Boston, then Philly. After that, I'm going to Austin. I'm going to got a bunch of dates in Ohio, New York. Going to Florida, going to Tampa, going to be there. Go to jasonnashtour.com, get your tickets, and come meet me. Guys, we're here with Bert Kreischer today.
In a parallel universe, I would have been a YouTube star.
Well, you've done it.
No.
You've done it. You've done it in your own way.
Vlogs.
Yeah, I remember.
If you gave me 25 years, just 25 years, like what's Dobrik, like 25?
I think he's 26.
Yeah. Okay, 24 years.
Yeah.
I would have leaned into that so hard.
Yeah, you would have.
I would have made Jake Paul look like Socrates. I would have made Logan look so progressive. Do you realize my sensibility when I was that age was fun. When Vine first came out, I remember my majority of my Vines were me taking shits and then showing the shit.
No way.
Oh yeah.
Did those ever come back to haunt you?
Oh yeah. There's a big cancel wagon coming after me. I got so into vlogging as an adult, as a grown man.
I remember you called me right when I started with David, and you were like, "I love what you're doing."
I loved it.
And that was so fun. It was such a great call to get because I didn't hear from anybody, really? And to get that call from you, I was like, "Oh, cool!" Like,
but I've always liked what you do. You've always been just like you've always just done cool shit and had your own vibe. And even like everything you've done has been like your friends have always been cool.
Well, yeah, I like to surround myself with good people, and if somebody's an asshole, I can't, and I'll get rid of them right away.
It's so funny. I just let an asshole back into my life.
You didn't. I
have guys from college that are problematic in my life. I just one of them called up and.
Did you give him a job?
No. Leanne's good at that. Leanne's like you. She's good at like wiping out ass. Breaking up with friends. I remember the first friend I broke up with was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
Like where I was like, we can't be friends anymore.
You're a kid?
I didn't know you could do that. Growing up in Florida, you just never lost your friends. You're like, no, these are my friends. They're like face tattoos. You're like, these are the ones I get for the rest of my life.
Right.
Yeah. And then I still have friends. I have friends that are like, that I see and I go, oh, this is going to hurt. And I just, one of them was at my movie premiere.
Yeah.
He called up and he's like, I want to come to your movie premiere. I'm like, of course you fucking call.
I didn't get the invite to your movie premiere. It was in my email, and I saw it 2 weeks later, but I got the invite to the after party. And let me just say before I forget, the movie is Bert.
Thank you.
I was so happy for you. When I saw you at the party, the after party, I hadn't seen the movie yet, but I could feel it. I was just like, damn, like, you did it. You did it. And you did it like... That's just like the pinnacle. That's just something that, not only that, but the movie. Here's the best thing I loved about the movie. The movie is based on a story you do called The Machine in your stand-up act. It's one of the greatest stories I've ever heard.
Thank you.
And normally when something is transposed, like a Saturday Night Live sketch to a film, it's like, oh, remember like Night at the Roxbury?
Yeah,
funny sketch, but the movie was like, okay, but this just. It just went out there, and it was better than your stand-up story.
Thank you. Well, thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
The movie is...
God, you heard that, right?
As good as your stand-up story is, the movie's better.
Thank you.
I mean?
I think the movie's unexpected. I don't think it's what people expect, which is what you should do in a movie, is you should make it, like, make people like, whoa, because... I think everyone thought I was just going to retell the Machine story.
Right.
And then when you start and you see where we're going, I think it makes for a really fun ride. The other thing I think that I'm really proud of is that we made like an action movie.
Yes.
That is fun, that happens to be funny.
And I haven't seen anything like that since Pineapple Express.
Right. Like
so
just
fun.
Like a fun
action
That's
and
a
comedy.
great goddamn movie. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, we didn't. I had no expectations. I read no reviews. I read nothing. I read one review accidentally because I never had my glasses on, and I started reading, and it was from Cracked, and it was like 10 hilariously brutal reviews of Bert's movie, but I thought it was like going to be a good one. Yeah. And I started reading that, and then I was like, wait, that's not nice. So that's the only thing I've really read. But no, everyone's liked it, that's seen it. Everything I've ever gotten in person has been great. I'm not really on social media. Like, I'm not on Twitter. Victoria runs my Instagram.
Yeah, me neither.
And so it doesn't behoove me. I talked about it to my therapist about it, and he was saying, he said, let's talk about the truths of what's going on. And he goes, did you have a fun time at the premiere? And I said, it was the best night of my life. It was the best night of my life. He goes, did you have a fun time making the movie? I said, I wouldn't trade those 3 months in Serbia making this movie for any 3 months in my life. It was the funnest time I've ever had. It's the funnest thing I've ever done. I've never wanted to be in movies until then. The premiere was the greatest night of my life. And the next 2 days, 3 days was just blissful. And he said, so good. Because I was upset about the negative review, and then he said, he goes, you got to understand, you got an opportunity to do something that 99.999999% of the humans on this earth will never get to do. Star in their own major motion picture, have it based on them, and then have a premiere where everyone in the city celebrates them. He goes, so understand, you're gonna get dirty a little bit. Yeah. So don't take it with a grain of salt. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's right. And then we went back and I read the reviews on camera, and we did a take about me reading them. And then when you read them, you're like, okay, yeah, definitely. Not everyone's gonna like what you do. Yes. And I think it was a lot of like real film people, or like more like fantasy people that were hoping to see like Mark in something a little more up their alley.
Oh, yeah, see Mark.
Or see more Mark, you know? Like they're Mark fans.
It's a Star Wars nerd that wanted more.
One of their names was Vader 1975. So he is not your father was one of the reviews.
But aren't we at the point in our lives, 'cause we're the same age, where you go, I just feel so much smarter now. Like I know that those reviews don't matter. If I were you.
Oh yeah. No,
and you know the comments don't matter.
You know what happened?
And you know what matters is like, did someone? I went and saw it at Universal. Went right down the street. Yeah. A group of 10 of us had a blast. It was full. People were laughing. Yeah. Like that's all that matters.
It's all that matters. Really, is the reality. You can't. You know. I was at the Delta Lounge, and this dude who just did not look like my demographic.
Yeah.
He was the bartender, and he lit up. He's like, dude, I saw your movie. And I was like, shut up.
Yeah.
And he was like, dude, I loved it. Yeah. And I was like, oh, thanks. Those are what matter. Even like I hung out with a couple of Bucks and like fans, these guys play for the Bucks, and they're fans of mine. I think it's really hard to get people to go to the movie theaters right now. They're like, hey, that's great. When's it coming out? And I was like, it's been out for 2 weeks.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, I'll catch it. I'm not this weekend. I was like, well, let's get leaving theaters pretty soon. So let's just buy the tickets. That's all I need. But no, but you know, things these days are found differently than they were in the past. Mm-hmm. Careers are different. I mean, you look at, you know, guys like Matt Rife throws up a special and it's got 9.1 million views in 2 months.
Yeah.
On YouTube. He doesn't need any of the streamers, this kid. Yeah. And then you look at when you look at your career.
Yeah.
Look at David, look at myself, look at podcasting. Who would ever think that in a podcast, as a host, I'd make more money than they could ever offer me on a sitcom? Yeah. On a sitcom. Yeah. And so things are just changing. And you know, I think movie theaters are in a transition where these big tentpole things get the views, and then smaller projects like mine, maybe they find their home more on like a Netflix, where people go, that's my, I mean, I have a fan base on Netflix I just did my, I think 5th special with them.
Razzle Dazzle.
So
incredible. I won't talk about it, but
thank you. But so it's just everything's changing, and you're right. You know what's real is all the that you can touch, all the people that you can talk to. It's real. It's very real. And
What do you mean? Twitter and stuff?
Yeah, it's like, you know.
It's not real, though.
I look at
Twitter's not real.
No. I look at Twitter the same way I look at a scale. I go, oh, let me see what's going on with that. And then I step on it. I'm like, what the f am I doing? What am I just going to put myself in a bad mood? I know what's going on. I know the reality. I'm
Skill's
overweight.
a good thing. Twitter's not.
Yeah.
Bad analogy, but
I got on Twitter recently. So Rogan sent me something, and I had to have a Twitter account to look at it. And Victoria has all my Twitter information. So I don't even. There was a thing. Twitter did a reboot when Elon took it over, and if you didn't log in that day, you didn't get. You could. It was going to be hard to log into your Twitter.
Yeah.
And I didn't log in on purpose. I went, no, I think I'm good. And so I didn't have Twitter. Then Rogan sends me something, and I go, and I'm like, I need a Twitter thing to read it. And then Twitter says to me, like an abusive boyfriend, hey, would you like a new account? And I'm like, well, we can do new accounts. We can get burner accounts and find out what the people that blocked us think of us. Yeah. Shut the fuck up. I'm in. Yeah. I meant to say, oops, I did it again. Because I was listening to Britney in the background. That was my username. But I didn't have my glasses on, so I said, oops, I did it Asian. And then I realized I misspelled Asian. So I said, oops, I did it ASEAN. And then I outed my burner account on Rogan, and the dude who found "Oops, I did it" Asian put it all on me, and then is just tweeting out horrible shit as if it's me, and I'm like, motherfucker, even when you God damn it, dude, that happens to me. I'm motherfucker.
The bigger you get, the worse it gets.
I can't imagine. You know what I've been thinking about a lot is like, so like, I got very lucky to have the opportunity to make a movie.
Yeah.
And then I thought, what about just like Giovanni Ribisi?
Okay.
He doesn't have like a franchise like Chris Hemsworth.
No, good actor though.
He's just a great actor. Mm-hmm. And there's got to be a part of him that's a regular person also, where he's like saying to his agent, like, can I be a Marvel star? And they're like, you're more like, you're different. And he's like, well, what the am I supposed to be doing right now? Yeah. And they're like, well, there's like
there's indie stuff.
Yeah, there's some indie stuff. Yeah. You want to do a TV show? Yeah. And he's like, I'm one of the best actors in this city, and I gotta go do steroids to get on the big screen. Yeah. That would make me crazy because
You're saying if you had the acting chops and you couldn't get work.
If I was a legit actor,
they get work though. And you also don't know
he's great in The Offer.
I didn't see that.
The Offer with it's about
Paramount show.
So he's so good.
I can't log into Paramount. It's too hard.
It's so
I'm able to figure it out. I'm so old.
Yeah.
It was really funny when we went and saw the movie. I just thought this was funny. Like, we got our seats, and then this woman had her hot dog and her nachos, and she was like, first of all, the woman loved the movie.
Oh, good.
She was an asshole because I sat down and I go, hey, can you move your hot dog and your nachos so my friend can sit here, because we all wanted to sit together. And she just goes, my stuff is there. Like that. And I go, okay. But like, can you just hold your stuff in your lap so we can all sit together?
Yeah.
And she finally went on for a little bit. She was talking to my friend, and finally I just leaned over. I said, what is the problem? Like that. And the movie's starting.
Yeah.
And she goes, you know what? F you. Don't talk to me. Like that. And that was it. And then the movie starts, and she loved you.
Oh, hey!
I was like,
"This lady turns out not that bad, right? Kind of like this old lady.
She's dying the whole movie.
This old hag." I had an
Bert Kreischer fan.
I had an incident with a dude one day. This is a parallel story. I had an incident with a dude. We used to live right by a Starbucks that was a one-way street.
Yeah.
Right?
I remember.
Yeah. You saw that. You went to that house.
Yeah.
People used to all the time just drive the wrong way up the one-way street, and it would drive me nuts. Yeah. I remember saying to my therapist, I said, it makes me crazy. And he goes, can you change it? And I said, no. And he goes, then you got to let go of it. Because if you can't change it, you're just agreeing to let something make you crazy. So one day I'm walking the girls to school, and this older dude, maybe like 60, comes flying out of that parking lot the wrong way and really fast. Now, I had one of those water bottles with me, those steel water bottles, and I was like, hey! And he stops his car. I'm with both girls and Leanne, and he gets out, and he goes, want some? He's 60. And I'm like thinking, am I about to fight a 60-year-old?
Yeah.
And I had my water bottle in my hand. I go, you're driving the wrong way up the street. And he goes, I fucking live here. I go, I live here. And I'm walking my daughters to school, and you could have hit us. And he goes, I fucking live here. This is my neighborhood. I've been in this neighborhood. He loses his mind. And Leanne, and I have an ability to self-correct in those moments because I almost got beat up one time, and I got lucky that I didn't get beat up.
Okay.
And I remember that night going, I'm not talking shit to anyone because I don't know how to. So one thing I know is I don't know how to fight.
Right.
So I let it go, and the guy got in his car. A month later, I see the same dude walking with his wife down my street in a walker. He had had a stroke, and he was completely debilitated on one side of his body. And I went, I wonder if he remembers me. I was like, because I could definitely kick his ass now. Like, I could f this dude up. I mean, he came in, you throw it left. I'm going to see it coming. But no, but I thought it's not that those people that walk around with that negativity in their life.
Yeah, that's right.
They walk around bottling it, and it is about to pop all the time.
It's poison.
It's poison.
I used to be like that before. When I wasn't working and I was like struggling, before I found YouTube and stuff. Yeah. Oh my God, I was pissed off all the time.
I remember that when I moved to New York, there were dicks. There were absolute dicks in the comedy clubs, and there were also dicks in the alt comedy clubs. Like both sides had dicks. Like, let's just be very clear.
That's
there
funny.
were dicks everywhere. There were dicks everywhere. More so in the base comedy clubs, like the Cellar. Like, you were definitely going to get lit up. But you get lit up in a different way at like Collective Unconscious or Surf Reality. Yes. It was just a different way. Yeah. It was. But
what a horrible business.
It's a horrible business.
And that's why I loved YouTube so much.
Because it gets worse. It gets worse.
Yeah.
So then I get on Travel Channel. I get a career. I do stand up. I get on Travel Channel.
Yeah.
And then I get fired from Travel Channel. I go start hanging out.
What'd you get fired for?
For just being fat, I think.
Did they say anything?
No, but they just.
It's not true.
No, I mean, but true. I think I was just.
They didn't call you and say Bert needs to lose weight.
No. She called and she said, well, she took me to lunch. The new president took me to lunch. And she goes, I had said to my therapist, he goes, what do you want to do with this? And I said, I don't want to ride roller coasters anymore.
Yeah.
I go, I think I'm more than roller coasters.
We worked on the roller coaster game show.
Oh,
I was the writer.
Do you remember that?
I was the writer.
Who was our assistant? Your writer's assistant?
Casey. She used to babysit my kids.
She was so I'll never be able to express how fun working with a friend is, or just you.
Yeah.
There was so.
You were my only saving grace on that show.
You were my saving grace.
I was like, every day I'd go and I'd be like, well, at least Bert's going to be here.
So this was a game show on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
So you would put. I'm gonna tell it to you, Victoria, so the people are listening. This is Bert the Conqueror. This is my other show.
It's a little different.
And so this was called Scream If You Know. Scream If You Know the Answer. I rode a lot of roller coasters for a living. Scream If You Know the Answer. And so they would put.
Tell them exactly what it is. Yes, it's so ridiculous.
Put two people on a roller coaster. I'd sit in between. I'd have cards. I'd have Jason in a headset on walkie talking into my ear, so I had headsets in, and I'm having to listen to them. I go, okay, here we go. And we get to the top, and we go, Bill. And they go, dun, dun, dun. And as we drop, we go, 5 things you find at a roller coaster park. And he'd be like, I don't know. Jennifer, what about you? She goes, corn dogs. What did you say? Corn dogs. It was the
so dumb.
And I had to do all the rides. So I'm riding 20 rides a day. Do you remember the one day we did the Devil's Drop?
I was just about to bring it up. And I was telling you not to do it.
And you were like, and I go, I can't feel the left side of my face.
Yeah.
Because I had to do it over and over again.
I told you, I said, don't do it anymore.
Don't do it.
And
then they're like, we got you a chiropractor. And you're like, don't go to a chiropractor.
Yeah. I was telling you not to do it because your neck will get all messed up. What a show.
But the best was the light in the tunnel. And this is like the little things that you get in like that lighten you up is we'd start working at 8 and we didn't get off until sunset.
Yeah. Out at the park, out at Six Flags all day, walking from roller coaster to roller coaster.
And Jason would say to Casey and me, what do you guys want to do for dinner tonight? And I'd go, I don't know. Do you think they have openings at the Tasmanian Devil Cafe? And he goes, Casey, can you look in and see if they get a nice table or something outside for the Tasmanian Cafe? And she goes, I'll go check. And she goes, they don't have anything until 8:30. And we're like, all right. See if over by Dumbo's ride. I mean, and it was
by
just
Superman. Do you remember Superman?
Yeah, Superman. So every day at the end of the day, we'd do Superman.
Right.
We'd all get in the Superman's ride, and it was riding backwards at the time. At sunset, it was at sunset where it's those watermelon hills out in Santa Clarita, and you'd shoot up and go to at the end of every day. That's how everyone closed out all the rides. It's so funny. You work with people and then you forget the one dude who was the showrunner. Was an ex soap opera star.
Yes.
What was his name?
His name was Michael something.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was the showrunner. He was a really good-looking guy.
He was gorgeous.
Yeah, he was gorgeous.
He was gorgeous. And then they had celebrities come on.
They did?
Yeah.
Who?
Coolio. No. Because at the same time, the English Virgin came over to shoot at our place. And they shot, and they had celebrities. And they got Shannon Doherty, Coolio. I remember meeting Shannon Doherty, and I was obsessed with her. And
did you watch 90210?
Oh my God.
Me too.
She's so hot. And in person, she is so hot. And then that
was like kind of like our show.
Yeah.
For our time.
Yeah.
Fox,
hardcore.
Right? Every Wednesday.
I grew sideburns because of that.
I was in college, and we would all get ready to watch that. That would be appointment viewing.
There was a couple shows that crossed the binary gender codes of like 90210 was meant to be a chick show, but that leaned into dudes hardcore. We started dressing like them.
Yeah, the jean jackets.
And same thing with Clueless. Clueless was meant to be a girls show.
Yeah.
Dude, me and my buddies watched Clueless 150 times. I mean, I could quote that. I could quote that goddamn movie.
I want to talk about a couple of things. Would you ever do a movie with Tom?
Yeah, we're lined up.
Are you working on something?
We're working on something right now.
Because I think that would be really fun.
I think it would be fun.
I love buddy comedies.
I do too. And
I love Spade and Farley. Who else is a good buddy comedy?
We just did the meeting about all the buddy comedies. Dan Aykroyd and Belushi.
Yeah.
Aykroyd and Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
Aykroyd and Chevy Chase were underrated. They were really good together. And Spies Like Us, that was a great movie.
Yeah.
Aykroyd with anyone. Aykroyd is a really unique dude.
Well, everyone says that he was like the genius of all of them. That was what they say, but he didn't pop the way Chevy Chase did or Belushi did.
You can't tell. I was talking to David Cross, and I said, you and Bob Odenkirk have such great chemistry, and he goes, "We didn't always." I'm paraphrasing. I know that. Yeah. I paraphrase. I tell you a story the way I want to remember it. I don't tell you a story the way you need to hear it. I tell you how I want to remember it. Mm-hmm. He said Bob Odenkirk was a little bit of a dick. And he liked him, and he wanted him to like him, and that they didn't have it that they didn't really connect at all until one night they sat into a kitchen and they got into an improv and immediately felt chemistry, and they couldn't stop making each other laugh, they couldn't stop laughing, and the rooms couldn't stop laughing. And I go, oh, that's you, because it kind of happened with me and Tom. The day we met, I was opening for Jay Moore, and Jay Moore and I were driving the club together in the Bray Improv. Tom was best friends with Jay's assistant, Charlie.
Okay.
So Charlie got him a job featuring. Okay. I walked into the green room, and Tom was watching Florida State. I went to Florida State. He was watching Florida State. I said, "Hey, you watching Florida State?" Now, Jay's not in the room yet. And Tom goes, "Yeah." And I go, "I'm from Florida State." And he goes, my favorite team's Florida State. I said, "For real?" I said, "I'm from Florida." He goes, "I'm from Florida." I said, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then Jay walks in. He goes, "Why the fuck are we watching Florida State?" And Tom goes, "I have $100 on this game."
Yeah.
And I go, "For real?" And Jay goes, "You're a host, and you make $50 a show, and you have $100 a game? You're a idiot." And he walks out, and I smile, I look at Tom, I go, "Hey, my name's Bert. Welcome to the tour." And then immediately we became just like tight. And Tom,
how did the podcast come about? Because I watched the podcast.
In all honesty.
Was that COVID?
In all honesty, the pandemic, really. Yeah. I mean, we had talked always about doing a podcast. When he had a podcast back in the day.
I remember I did it down in Marina Del Rey, or they were down in Redondo.
Yeah, Redondo.
Yeah, I remember.
Well, he did one. Just audio. To do one even before that, just audio, and he would do it at the Ice House.
Oh yeah.
And so
he was in on it early, huh?
Oh yeah, he's been on very early. Him. And so he said to we were fantasizing in front of his wife about if we were a gay couple. And I said, "What's one thing, if we were gay, what's one thing you'd want to do?" He said, "I'd come in all your food." I was like, "I don't think I'd like that." And he's like, "Hear me out. You love food, right?" And I'm like, "Okay." And he's like, "And if you're gay, you love And I go, your mass adding up. And he goes, then you'd love your food. I was like, fuck. And he goes, what's the one thing you do? And I go, I'd get home, I'd fling the door open, and then I'd go, you got to the count of 10 before I hold you down and you. And then you get to hide until 10, and then I'd find you and I'd hold you down and he goes, I don't think that's how gay guys do it. I go, that's how I do it. And we just kept going back and forth about if we were gay, and we said we should start a podcast called Two Bears, One Cave. It's right around Two Girls, One Cup. Yeah. And then one day he goes, do you want to try doing it? And I was like, yeah. We tried doing it.
Did he already move?
No.
He's still in LA at this point.
Right before the pandemic started.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. And then we were doing 1 a month or 2 a month because we didn't have time for it.
Yeah.
And then when the pandemic started, we doubled down, and then we doubled down and we had no one to talk to. That was the important part of why that podcast was good. Is we weren't talking to anyone and we weren't doing stand up. So any bit we had went right to. So like I'd come in with like a bit I'd been working on, and we'd workshop it together, and then people were falling in love with the podcast. And then we had like 2 or 3 viral
Hawaiian
clips.
Punch.
Kool-Aid was like
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid was a big one.
No, it was Hawaiian Punch, I thought.
No, it's Kool-Aid. It's definitely
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
No, you're right.
I drink a gallon of it every day. When he found out I drank Kool-Aid, that and Jennifer Aniston are the two hardest we've laughed. Where we were still laughing.
Wait, I've seen the Jennifer Aniston, but I forgot. What was it?
He lied to me and said he got to meet Jennifer Aniston. And he knows I have a weird thing about, I get impressed. He doesn't care about celebrities. I get impressed with celebrities.
Me too.
I get really impressed with celebrities. And so I go, hold on, you didn't offer to bring me? And he was like, well, no. And then he tells me this story. And at the end he goes, it's a lie. And I go, you motherfucker. I go, you got to make a promise. If you ever get to meet Jennifer Aniston, now you definitely have to take me.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay. He goes, well, we should reach out, see if we can meet her. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, do we bring our wives? And he's like, no, I'm not bringing our wives. I go, can she bring someone? And he goes, for safety. And then he very quickly goes, maybe that's not the message we want to send. And I couldn't stop laughing because I kept hearing him going, for safety. There was like 4 or 5 of those where he would say the thing and I couldn't stop laughing. He made me fall out of a chair laughing one time because the way he talks makes me laugh. Like the way he talks. What did he say on the conference call today? Where he just goes.
He's so dry.
He's so dry. What did he say on the conference call today that we were all and we were like, he's like, yeah, next or whatever. He just.
You wanted to call your brand something.
You wanted to call your brand something.
We can't get into it.
Right.
We had a conference call today. And he was like, all right, everyone grab a pencil. Bert's getting ready to talk. And it was just like, But it's like, he makes me laugh so hard. And that's why the reason when I did The Machine, the first thing I said to our producer, Kale, I got to do a movie with Tom. Yeah. Because now that I know what makes, I want you to do a movie, you go.
Yeah, what'd you learn from doing the movie?
I learned I'm really good when I fail.
You what?
I'm really good when I fail on screen. When I
Tell
fail,
me about that. What does that mean?
Like me in panic and failure is a very natural. I don't have to act, and I can show emotion really quickly.
Real.
Like in Yen, so Secret Time, spoiler alert, but like the punch.
Yep.
That
scene killed when we saw
it. Murdered in the thing. The shot.
The shot's great.
The look, like when I fail, I'm really the fall down the stairs. The kip up, the failure in the fight, like all the times I fail, I'm really I excel. And so I go
secret.
I go, now that I know that, I go I will focus on making sure there's a good physical failure in every like just making sure, and then taking it to the next level, like the throw up, taking the thing out of her leg.
Yep.
And so I go, okay, so I know where I'm at, and I know that I can do some like emotional too, so I can ground it a little bit. I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah.
But I go, I know what makes Tom funny, and so what's the best part of it, and when you're making a movie like this, is it is a little bit of a collaboration. You have a director and a producer and a group of people in the tent watching takes.
Yeah.
But I don't need to be in the tent. I'll be with him doing the takes, and so I will be able to go to him. Hey, you know what you should do? Right. As a friend, we collaborate like that in podcasts.
Yeah.
But I'll be able to get to see. So like his strengths are going to be through the roof.
Yeah.
He's going to murder this movie because I'm his best friend, and I've already been through the process of like. I'll give you an example. In the movie, I'm in the tent, and they bring out College Igor. And they go, this is Igor. He's a bandit. He's a very bad person. You don't want to talk to him. And he's sitting like this, chewing gum. And that was the take. And I went over to him. He's a great actor named Marco. And I partied at my house with him. I knew the guy. Yeah. Like, we were good. We were friends.
Is he American?
No, he's Serbian.
Serbian, yeah.
And I said, hey, Marco, just for one of the takes, can you do just like you're trying to scare a baby? Yeah. Like you're trying to scare a baby and then go back to serious, Igor? Yeah. And he was like, yeah, I think so. And he was like what? And I was like, like you're like, ooh, and then go back. And so the take that they use is he's doing this, and he's like, this is Igor. It's a very scary banditi. Do not talk to them. And he looks around and he goes, ooh. And then he goes back like this. Yeah. And it was just a real subtle. They use that take? Yeah, they use the take, and it kills in the movie. And I was like, that's the cool thing is like, I bet how fun would it be to work with to have worked with Kevin Hart as Dwayne Johnson and have that friendship and go dude, that was good, man. Do more of that. Like that collaboration. Yeah. Or imagine Spade and Farley where they're just trying to make each other laugh. Yeah. And in doing that, you get the funniest movie in the world. Yeah. I mean, that's the cool thing I would like to do about a buddy comedy.
Today's podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. Guys, SeatGeek is so incredible. SeatGeek is a ticketing app. It is an app where you can buy and sell tickets on there. I get all my concert tickets. As you know, my kids are musicians, and our biggest treat is to go out and see the most incredible musicians, and they're all on SeatGeek. They're fantastic. I've seen Tyler, the Creator, on there. I've seen Dave Chappelle on there. We saw Taylor Swift, Billy Joel. They're all on there, and the summer concert season is coming. And if you go and download the SeatGeek app right now, and for first-time users, you're going to get $20 off your first order. $20 off your first order when you use my code NASH. That's an incredible deal, an incredible offer from SeatGeek. SeatGeek has kept the lights on in this little studio for the last year. They were my first sponsor, and they're still with me. And I love SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com and buy some tickets. Treat yourself, treat your loved ones, and go see a good show this summer. Okay, back to the podcast. Yes, so you're working on that, because I would love to see that. That I know it's great, because even when you just tell me stories about Tom, I laugh because I watch the podcast, and I know the relationship. It's already built in. It's so good.
But there's so much one of the things that I think that
isn't that fun to find that. To find that like lightning in a bottle, like you mentioned Cross and Odenkirk, but to find that with Tom, is there anything better?
No. There's no. I will tell you this. Obviously, me and Leanne's relationship's pretty solid. Yeah. I feel very lucky to have gotten her in life. Yeah. Like I feel very lucky that I'm still sexually attracted to her, and we're both in our 50s.
So great.
And that she makes me giggle, and she's still surprising me, surprising me. Yeah. At times where I go, who is it? Like, what the And she's blossoming because the girls are leaving now, and she's finding her own footing.
She has her own podcast.
She has her own podcast.
What's it called?
Wife of the Party.
Wife of the Party, right.
And she's running Birdie Boy Productions. She's a COO.
She had a producer on the movie.
She's a producer on the movie. She was
a producer on your stand-up special.
Yeah, she just produced Shane Torres's stand-up special.
Oh, really?
She's really good at she's really good at being honest is really the answer. Like she's good at being honest, and so she's great in an edit for a special. She's edited all my specials.
Really?
She helped edit the cabin. So she's really great at that. And so to watch her do that, I will say that I feel just as lucky, and this sounds crazy, to have found Tom, because you don't get creative partners that you can talk things out with, of just comedy ideas or business ideas, or you don't get that often. You get one every now and then.
He's your closest, right?
Yeah, and dude, he has been so wise. I can't even get into detail because I think there are times things in this business that I'm drawn towards, and Tom will be like, "Hey, stop," and I'll be like, "Really?" He's like, "That's not the direction you want to go in."
Right.
And I'm like, "Boo!" Like theoretically, like the monkey boy on a radio show, the third mic that breaks bottles over his head. That's my energy. And Tom will be like, "Whoa!" I'll give you a perfect example. This is a perfect example. They offered me the Man Show a long time ago.
Really?
And they said, They said pick your guest
No kidding.
and pick your host. And so
Remember you had the knockoff man show?
I did.
Remember?
I think your ex-wife produced it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it called?
The X Show.
X Show.
And so then, like 10 years later, I get a call from the people who own the Man Show, and they're like, "We want you to do the Man Show." And I'm like, "Done." I don't know if I was at Travel Channel at the time, but I was like, it was carved out of my deal. I was like, "Fuck yeah, done." Comedy Central, the boys back, and I called Tom and I was like, "Hey, I got an offer to do a Man Show. I can pick my guest. I want you to do it with me." And he was like, "Nope." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I think that's the wrong move. I think it's the wrong move for you."
So
and
wise.
And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "It's not our show. We could just do our own show. Like, why would we do their show? That's Jimmy and Adam's show." And he goes, "And then it's Doug and Joe's show.
Right.
And we don't want to be the third ones.
Yeah.
The third one's putting that condom on." And I was like, that's a good analogy. And he was like, let's just do our own show."
Right.
And then I was like, "Well, what's our show?" And he goes, "I don't know, but we're in no rush. Like, we can figure it out." And it ended up being Two Bears.
Yeah.
And I will say this, it is such a better branded show for us because it's very light lifting. It's just us hanging out.
Yeah. One time you told me the best thing, we were riding in a car and you were telling me about stand-up and you described it. You go, what I'm learning in stand-up is like, I come up with my material and then I try to get a little bit away from the boat every time and see how far away I can stay from the boat.
Yeah.
Is that something you still subscribe to?
Oh yeah. I did it.
I just watched your special,
Oh, thanks.
Razzle Dazzle. Bert, it's so amazing that you just tell stories.
Yeah, now I do. I didn't
Like,
before.
how do you? That's what was so great about it. It's on Netflix if you guys want to watch it. But you have like 5 specials now, or 4 in there, 4 or 5.
5, I think. Yeah.
You have 5, but this one is so great because you're just telling stories.
Yeah.
Like kind of like Ron White.
Oh,
who I love.
that's a huge compliment.
Yeah, I love Ron
Yeah,
White.
he's the greatest. I wanted to be something I wasn't for a long time, and I didn't know it.
Well, tell me about that.
I wanted to be Dane Cook. I wanted to be Nick Swartzen. I wanted to be Zach. I wanted to be Dimitri. I wanted to be smart. I wanted to be liked by the industry. I wanted to be the people ran in the room to see.
So true. I know exactly what you mean.
And I was like, and so in doing, and I didn't realize I may never be that guy.
Yeah.
But I can be a guy that makes people laugh. And so I was trying to do what I saw the people that got the payout I wanted. I wanted the payout of like, oh, Zach's on. And then everyone will go in. Oh, Sarah's on, you know?
Yeah.
I wanted that payout. And so I thought if I write adjacent to them, if I think the way they would think, that would be my thing. And then like a few things happened, podcasting namely, where I realized my value. I was never going to be that person. I'd never had the grooming. I was not some Greek kid in North Carolina who always felt like an outsider and never felt like the cool kid. And like Zach was just, I mean, Dimitri, like there's that's grooming that you have to have. The grooming I got was a kid hanging out with a regular normal kid hanging out with Cuban kids in Florida and hanging out with old Cuban men, laughing and getting done the night, and everyone's staying up and telling stories and telling the dads the stories, and then the dads would punch them up, and then we'd laugh even harder.
Yeah.
And then the next morning the story would come back, and I was like, that's who I am. Is I'm just some regular kid who had a regular life who can tell a good story. And so
hard to come to that and accept that.
Yeah, and that like,
and to accept yourself. It's so hard to find your unique path. And it's not going to be good unless it's your unique path.
It's the only. I had a joke. That I would never have told. I was getting ready to do Secret Time as my first special, like for Netflix.
Yeah.
And it was a joke about buying Leanne pajamas, and it was just a stupid joke about me being a fucking idiot.
Right.
She said she wanted pajamas, so I got her like 5 pairs of pajamas, and I individually wrapped them, fanned them out under the tree. I was like, "Bitch wants pajamas, bitch gets pajamas," right? And the joke was that Christmas I was really excited because I knew I got her what she wanted.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Hey, open your present," and my dad's like, "You must have killed it, buddy." And I was like, "You'll see." She opened the first pair of pajamas and she went, "Oh, pajamas," and I went, "Ooh." If that's her reaction to pajamas number 1, I can't imagine it's going to build and get better. Yeah. And my dad goes, "Who the f*** buys someone pajamas?" I'm like, "Oh, this is going to get really bad."
Right.
She opens the second pair and she goes, "Oh, more pajamas. And my dad looks at the five unwrapped gifts and does the math and starts laughing hysterically. He goes, "Oh, open the next one, open the next." And so I told that at the store one night. It was just a throwaway. I just needed to kill time.
Yeah.
I didn't have a joke that I was going to put in the special. And Adam Egget was like, "Dude, that is my favorite joke you tell." And I go, "It's not a joke."
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, whatever it is, it's hilarious." And I was like, "No, but it's just a story." He goes, "Is that in Secret Time?" And I was like, "No." And he goes, "It better be." And when I did, and then I had like other joke, like, and then all of a sudden, like, and it's
because that's what people want. They want to just
yeah.
Hear you tell your.
And it was like
so cool.
All of a sudden it was like, after that I started looking at what I was trying to do, and then I was like looking at what I knew worked. Like, meaning like Rogan told me around that, a little bit before that time, he said, "You have to be undeniable. You have to be," write that down somewhere, undeniable. And on my joke book I wrote, "Be undeniable." I didn't even know what the meant. I really didn't. I was like, Joe said it, I'll write it down. Yeah. I'll see it once a day and then I go, "Yeah, be undeniable." And I told that joke, and then I had another joke about I went to, Isla had an evaluation at school. And by the way, I never wanted to talk about my kids. I thought it was so embarrassing to be a dad.
Oh, really? But didn't you see because when I've talked about my kids on stage, I see a drastic difference in the audience interest.
What do you mean?
Like, if I'll do a bit about something, and then I'll say, "So I have kids," and you can see everybody go, like, yeah, they're just into it.
Oh yeah,
right.
I felt like the energy was, I have kids. They'd be like, "Oh, next." That's what I thought. And I had this joke about.
That's what made Louis.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I had a joke about.
It made him pop, at least.
Going to take a Diet Coke to Isla had an evaluation. She was dyslexic.
Right.
I grabbed 2 Diet Cokes. It was early in the morning. I was hungover, and I took a sip of one of the Diet Cokes and realized I had a Coors Light. and I was like, "That's like a finger in your ass at an orgy, gentlemen. You got to decide if you're going to pull away from it or push back into it." I pushed back into it and I killed that Coors Light. And I remember just going like, I bet that would work, because it's not a joke. It's a story that happened. Yeah. And then I filled Secret Time with all those stories. And then as I got, like, I think it was all this podcasting, is you go onto a podcast and you just try to make the guy sitting with you laugh.
Yeah.
And you tell a story and then you'd be like, "Oh, yeah." Like, I remember one time I left it in the podcast, and this is the one time I realized, stop doing that. We were sitting there during the pandemic. I was getting ready to do Hey Big Boy. And he said, "Man, I took a horrific shit." And I said, "Really?" He goes, "It was bad." And he goes, "You know it's bad when, like, you know it's bad." And I said, "I took a shit in Japan once. It was so bad the guy in the stall next to me threw up." And he went, "What?" And I said, "And we were in Japan. I thought he was trying to talk to me." And he started laughing so hard. And then we started laughing. The guy's like, "Ugh." And I was like, "No, I don't have toilet paper." And Tom goes, "Are you going to put that in your special?" And I said, "Yeah." And so I started to tour with it, but people had already heard it.
Oh, and so you couldn't put it in the special?
So then Tom and I immediately were like, anytime we say something funny, pull it out of the podcast. Like, anytime you say something really funny.
That's really hard.
It's really hard.
How do you do that?
He has a joke right now about his fucking son. There's a couple jokes I hear about people's kids that I never forget. Yeah. One time, Marnie pulled you aside and said, "You need to talk to Wyatt." Yeah. He said,
"Oh, the trains."
F it.
Yeah, f it. Yeah,
I think about that joke.
Yeah, it was a joke I had. I don't remember the joke, but the joke was, I was in the other room with my 3-year-old dropped his trains and said, "F it," and Marnie made me go in there. I don't remember the punchline.
And you went in and you go, "Hey, you can't say, well, let me see. You can't say, f just drop the train. Like, if you're done playing with the trains and they're pissing you off, you can throw them and go, "Ah, f it." And then you can use it.
Yeah, it was a joke.
It was great. Tom's got a joke. I mean, I can't even tell you, because it's so funny about his son.
He's doing it now when he does.
He's doing it now. I think we pulled it out of the podcast. But as a dad, it's just genius. It's that little sweet spot of where you don't realize that real life and these kids' lives haven't really totally connected, and there's a miscommunication. Yeah, and it's just so good.
My kids have. I found that now that they're 14 and 17, they're just like adults.
Oh,
Are your kids like that? Do your kids go on tour with you and work?
wow, that's really interesting. Yeah.
Do they work on the tour?
Yeah, so
That's so cool.
We're due Fully Loaded.
Right.
Starting next Wednesday in Forest Hills.
Forest Hills, California.
Forest Hills, no, the stadium, the tennis stadium in New York, in Queens.
Oh, Forest Hills.
Yeah, Forest Hills.
Forest Lawn.
And so we have 6 tour buses.
Yes.
We have 3 semis.
Yeah.
And we're going Forest Hills to Moosic, PA to
It's you and
Baltimore.
You and
it's me
big
and
comics?
ultimately 26 comics because we move them out throughout. Bruce is on it.
Bruce.
Lewis Black.
Lewis
David
Black?
Tell. I mean, it is Tiffany Haddish, Big J Okerson, Shane Gillis, Mark Norman, Dan Soder, Tammy Pescatelli. We really run the gamut of every comic. Ralph Barbosa, Stavros is on it.
You won't see 26 people in one day.
No. We put 10 on a show, 8 on a show.
Right.
And so Georgia Isla and one of Georgia's friends are working the tour, and so is Leanne.
What do they do? What do they do? What do your kids do?
Basically, I'll get a text. This is what happened last time. I get a text, and they're like, "Hey, are you up?" And then I'll go, "No." And they're like, "Come to catering." And then I'll go to catering, and then they will just postpone working forever and sit in catering. Do you want a smoothie? I'll make you a smoothie. And then they just do just menial stuff. So they're basically PAs. But Leanne is a bulldog, and she's on the tour.
Yeah.
And she is going to run these ragged. And then they're going to say stuff like Georgia said to me last time. She goes, "I don't understand. I want your job. You don't do anything." And I go, "Baby, I put the tour together. What do you mean I don't do anything? Yeah. I'm the one hanging out until 2 a.m, making sure everyone had a good night."
Yeah.
It's funny. This is my favorite story out of the tour last year. So George and her friend Daisy are on the tour. I would literally walk out to go do the show and see Daisy just walking in center field, because we do them in ballparks. Yeah. Just walking in center field. Like, "What the f*** are you doing?" She goes, "Nothing." Just hiding, right? Yeah. So last night, we're all partying, and Shane Gillis goes up to George and her friend, and he goes, "You guys sneaking beers?" And they're like, "No." And he goes, "I'm not your dad. I'm not going to tell him you sneaking beers." And they're like, "No." And he goes, "Come on." And they go, "You promise you won't tell my dad?" And he goes, "Yeah, I promise." He goes, "You sneaking beers?" He goes, "Yeah, we've been sneaking beers." He goes, "Cool." Sits down next to me. He goes, "George is sneaking beers."
What a rat. He ratted them out.
Oh, it was the best.
What did they say? I
said, "You guys sneaking beers?" And they go, "Shane's a liar. Shane, don't ever listen to Shane."
That's so cool, though, that you have them with you like that.
Dude, I'm
That's
excited.
Amazing.
We're doing 5. We'll be on the road for 5 weeks. We'll be gone for 5 weeks. We're going across the country. We end at the Gorge. We're in Salt Lake City, Vegas. We're doing the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. We're doing everywhere. We're doing Smoothie Center.
T-Mobile in Vegas.
Smoothie Center.
Huge.
New Orleans. We're doing arenas everywhere. We're doing arenas everywhere. We're doing ballparks. We do outdoors. We do indoors. We do amphitheaters.
How's stand-up at a ballpark?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, look, I have a weird litmus for it because I did during the pandemic. I did the drive-in movie theaters. I created that tour, and so I understand eventizing things is sometimes better than the thing. So like, not everyone is going to murder at a ballpark, because some comics will get in their head about it, and they'll be.
I'm
a
imagining
little
it's like feedback.
No. Oh, no. Sound system?
Sounds great.
So we pay a lot of money for a great sound system. Yeah. And so 1.7, we pay for a stage and sound system.
And that travels with you.
And it travels everywhere with me. They set it up the day before, the day of. It is, I'm telling you, you feel like you're in a comedy club.
Yeah.
And so you feel like it is perfect. Big screens on each side. It's really fucking amazing. But I feel like as an audience member, you're going to see 10 comics. There's a couple that are going to stand out to you that'll be your favorite. And for everyone, it's not the same. Sure. And there's going to be a couple that land flat that you're like, that wasn't my taste. But that's why we have 10 comics.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you're a fan of mine if you're coming to these. You follow me because I'm doing the majority of the promotion. I do 45 minutes at the end. So you're going to see me at the end do 45 minutes. I'll make sure you hear all the good stories that you want to hear. I'll do all best of.
Oh, you do best stuff.
And probably I'll do like a couple. I'll probably do machine. I'll probably do.
I never understood why comics don't do best of.
I tell these comics. I tell everyone. Imagine they've never seen you. Just murder.
Yeah.
And some comics take it to heart. Like Shane Gillis last year. I really think that was his like coming out party. He went on before me every show, and he ripped I'm talking, he did Thunder Valley. We did a racetrack. You want to talk about difficult? Yeah. We did a fucking racetrack.
Yeah.
We did a racetrack, and he went out singing Rocky Top. Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee. And then put the mic to the audience, and then 15,000 people in Thunder Valley are stomping, good old. And so that eventizing it, making it a little different than like you're in a comedy club. So what do you do for a living? Mm-hmm. That's on. It's about putting on a show. Joey Diaz going out and coming there. These guys are coming out to standing ovations. Dave Attell's getting a standing ovation as he comes out.
Yeah,
and then Dave Attell's we're in Rochester, and this has memorized the landscape behind him and is now doing jokes, including the landscape behind him. Oh, you didn't like that one? There should be a cross over my right shoulder. Say a prayer for me and Jesus. Hey, looks like you went to Smith College. There's a big Smith College sign. Well, I mean, some people do it beautifully. Some people have struggled. I've seen some people struggle.
Yeah.
But the greatest comics out there crush. Yeah. So, like, it's fun as Fully Loaded is fun as fuck.
I loved in your special, just to get back to your kids really quick, I thought it was so funny that you had a bit about your kids, what they wanted for their birthday was to take your dad to an escape room and watch him lose his shit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was just such a funny original concept. And then, you acted out great, and it's a real story.
It's a true story.
And they really wanted your dad.
Escape room's up off Lancashire by In-N-Out Burger. Yeah, it's a real place. And it was so...
And your dad lost his shit.
Oh, so bad. So bad. And you know what's so funny is I forgot about that story.
Yeah.
And I was on stage, Georgia's in college, and I get a call from Georgia from college. And I'm obviously, your kid's in college, you answer it. And I go, hey, what's up? She goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm on stage. What do you need? She's like, nothing. I'm just checking in. I was like, oh, well, can I call you back? She goes, wait, what are you talking about? I was like, nothing. I'm looking for a closer. And she goes, really? And I said, yeah. And she goes, did you tell the escape room? I go, wait, what escape room? She goes, you remember for my birthday, we took Papa to the escape room so we could watch him lose his shit? And the audience laughed. And I went, no, I don't. She goes, me, you, Nana, Papa, Mom, and Isla took Papa, and he lost his shit. Remember he thought...
Oh, she's on the phone with you while you're on stage.
On the phone with me.
Jesus.
She goes, do you remember he thought the guy was a serial killer? And I was like... Oh, yeah. And then the audience laughs. She goes, remember Papa threw Nana into the wall? And then the audience laughs. She goes, remember Mom solved all the clues? And the audience laughs. She's going through bit by bit.
Yeah,
and I'm like, hold on, slow down. What happened next? She goes, remember the trap door opened and we had to crawl through the wall? And the people like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And I'm like, hold on. Keep going. What happened next? And so Georgia goes, you should tell it on stage. And I was like, you just did.
Yeah, I'm on stage.
And then I just went through and I retold it.
Cool.
I retold it kind of the way she did. And then that became the closer, and what's so funny is like that's the bit most people pulled from the special. They were like, "Oh, I love the escape room," and it's at the end of the special, which means people watch the whole special.
Yeah, it's a good closer.
It was a good closer, yeah.
Really good. And then at some point, you're doing your shows, you're getting ready for the special, and you realize that the escape room story is my closer.
No. So the closer's a throwaway bit for me. So the way a Netflix special works, the way I work it is I try to front load it as heavy as I can with the best material.
Oh.
Because the algorithm dictates that people stop watching after 30 minutes.
Uh-huh.
So my brain, when I did Secret Time, I was like, I had my closer. My closer was ziplining. It was a ziplining story.
Yeah.
And I had it as my closer. And when in doubt, spread them out. And it's just a great closer. It's a great closer. And then I found out that they only watched 30 minutes. Someone told me that, a comic, and then another comic was like, yeah, they only watch. He goes, I actually can tell my closer on the road and no one's heard it.
Right.
And these are like big comics. And I went, wow. So I was like, well, I'm not going to waste my closer.
Right.
At the end of my special. No, I'm going to put it up. I put it at 22 minutes. I'll put it at 25 minutes. At 30 minutes, you'll have heard the funniest joke I have. That's my closer.
Yeah. And
then I'm assuming if you've heard that, you're probably going to stick around. And Netflix called after it premiered. They said it premiered very well, but your rate of retention was like 96%. Like you kept all your people that watched the whole thing, which doesn't happen. And Netflix said, do you mind if we ask you why that happened? Like, did you do something special? I said, well, I talked to what's his name, and he said that no one watched any more than 30 minutes. So I just took all my good jokes and threw them up front. I skinnied them up. I just tried to get them as good and tight as fast as possible. And I put my closer at 24 minutes, 22 minutes. And then, so I figured they'd watch the rest of it.
You changed the game of specials.
And so, well, it's people think I'm a moron, but I do put thought into things. And so, and like I did certain things, like I started with a joke. I opened with a joke. I didn't say anything before a joke. I said a joke first. Like that was something that was making me crazy about specials. Is like there would be a sketch or a skit or you'd be talking about the city that you were in and how cool it was I grew up here and I used to live right around there. Do you guys remember this? And I'm like, I'm at home watching going, I'm not from Pittsburgh or Cleveland or I don't know what the Jacksonville. Yeah. I don't know anything about this. And so I just was like, the ones I liked were like Norm Macdonald started with a joke.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle started with these are the ones I liked. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna start with a joke. So I named it Secret Time. I knew I had these Secret Time bits. So then the first words out of my mouth were, lower your expectations. You're just hearing secrets. Secret Time. When I get a shower, I dry my ass on the bed. Secret Time. Secret Time when I wipe. Sometimes I spill on the toilet paper. It's called a Mississippi wet wipe. Secret Time. Secret Time. I just told like three quick jokes, and that bled into a story, and then I got out of the secrets, and then throughout the special I could do Secret Time, and then I could just drop it in a joke. Secret Time. I don't even remember what they were anymore. But and so when you talk about Razzle Dazzle, my closer was supposed to be raffle. That was my closer.
Oh, the raffle. Yeah.
And so, but
They're similar.
Yeah, and so I thought that's the closer. Everything after that, I don't expect for them to watch. I think, if anything, they'll get to Razzle. They'll get to that if they watch the rest. But man, I guess my fans expect for me to work an hour a certain way. Like I care
interesting,
about. Bert. I care about the art form's an hour.
Yeah.
If you can't perform an hour, then don't do an hour. It's all. It's like just don't do an hour. And so.
You did a good job with it.
Oh, thank you. It's funny. I just watched Sarah's new hour.
I haven't seen it yet.
And I had so many questions.
Yeah.
I go, like I said to her, I go, can I tell you what I would have opened with? She was like, why? And I was like, I don't know. This is like, I love the weeds of it. I love the weeds.
You're such a comedy nerd.
I'm a fucking huge comedy. All I think about is comedy. That's it. That's the
awesome.
only thing ever goes into my head is comedy, how to make people laugh, why people laugh. Like little things that make people laugh. Like I love unraveling. I've had this joke about it's not gonna make sense. It's not gonna make sense. But I've had this joke that I've wanted to tell for.
Try me. Let's have a little brainstorm.
No. It's I figured it out, but I hadn't figured it out. It was really complicated. My friend Sandy told me that I saw her dog. My friend Sandy is Vietnamese, or Chinese, really, but she grew up in Vietnam. It's a long story.
Cool.
Her dog took off in the park, and I watched her chase her dog, and she just ran weird.
Yeah.
And she said, and I said, "Wow, you run weird. Like those aren't your original limbs."
Yeah.
And she goes, "Yeah, I'm Asian. We don't run." And I went, "Huh?" She goes, "Google it, motherfucker." And so then I Googled it, and I was like, "Holy shit."
Is that true?
I Googled it. The research I found.
Do Asians run?
I don't think that's how you Google it. Go to Wikipedia, type in the Olympics. An Asian person has never won a gold, silver, bronze medal in a short foot race in the history of the Olympics. Okay. This is, and so I take it to Sandy, and she goes, "Yeah, I know." She goes, "I know. We're not good at running. That's not our thing."
Fuck.
And so I went. So then one night I got drunk at her house, and I said something wild to her father. I said I could beat any Asian in a foot race. And no, so everyone laughed when I said it, and her husband, who's Asian, is like, "That's funny. You got to say that. You got to say that on stage."
Yeah,
because it was a joke. It was based on Sandy's thing. I've been working on that, and that's a really aggressive statement to not have bits for. I've been working on it since the girls were in like 4th grade.
You've been working on this joke for 10 years.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And
you haven't given up on it.
No, because Why
wouldn't you give up on it?
I've given up on times, but I keep coming back to it. That should
be the end of your movie with Tom.
So
you're on your deathbed and you crack that joke.
Her dad said to me, they said, This is how you pick it apart, right?
Yeah.
So now I see her family every Chinese New Year's. Tom's Vietnamese, she's Chinese.
Okay.
So then I've got this joke in my head. Her dad, the reason it started is because her dad found out I was running the LA Marathon.
Right.
And he started laughing so hard we couldn't understand him. And she was translating. He says, fat like you can't run the LA Marathon.
Right.
And then I was like, oh yeah, tell him I could beat any Asian in a foot race in this house. And it was Chinese New Year's, it's a night of gambling. So then cut to last Chinese New Year's, same scenario, we're all sitting around. I know these people. Yeah. And I find out, and I've never had a conversation with her dad. I've never been introduced to her dad. Her dad doesn't speak any English. Her mom doesn't speak any English. They're both Chinese. They grew up in Vietnam, right? They grew up in Vietnam.
Bert, it's
and
so crazy.
Sandy says to me, this is the funniest thing. So Sandy says, he says, like, I'm not going to do the accent, but he just yells from the other room, Viet! Yeah. And she goes, ah! And I go, what's that? She goes, oh, it's my name. I said, what's Viet? What do you mean Viet? She goes, that's my name. Now, I've known this woman for like 15 years. Yeah. I go, what do you mean Viet's your name? She goes, that's my name. It's my birth name. Yeah. She goes, my Chinese name. I don't have you think my name's Sandy? Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I thought your name was Sandy. She goes, no, it's my white people name. She goes, I grew up in Boston, and Boston wasn't like a super like liberal place back in the day. It wasn't very progressive. So when we got there, we had to pick white people's names. Mm-hmm. And I said, really? And she goes, yeah. So we sat around the table, and we all got to pick a white person's name. And I had just seen a movie about a girl who wasn't from this country, who went to school, and wasn't very popular. But by the end of the movie, she was the most popular girl.
Grease.
And I go, are you serious? I go, you picked the name after Sandy? She goes, that's not the worst one. Ask my dad Rambo where he got his name. I go, hold on, your dad's name's Rambo? Your dad's name's Rambo? And so I start crying laughing, and I start going, Rambo? And then he starts going, oh, fat can't run. So then I start going, I can take this story and move that back to this story and connect the two. And then Sandy tells me another thing. Now I'm not gonna. Sandy tells me another Asian fact that in the wrong hands is a bad fact to have, but in this story fits in perfectly. And I'm like, I got it. I've been holding on to this story for 10 years, 14 years. I got the bit. So I do it at Rogan's Club. Now, granted, it is Texas, so we don't know if it works everywhere. And it killed so hard that people started clapping, and I went, ta-da! I called Sandy up. I was like, you're never going to believe. I finally figured it out. Yeah.
Damn.
But like, that's
great.
I love when you have something like, I love when you have something and you just write it down and you go, that I don't know what that is, but like
I'm going to try it.
Baby grandpa. I don't know what that is. I empathize with the villains. So like I listen to a lot of history podcasts.
Oh yeah. Do you ever write the punchline first?
Mm-mm.
No. Here's all stories, right?
It'll be the story. So like
you have to actually work hard for your punchlines because you've got your story. Yeah. And now you've got to write Mummy Sarcophagus and all that. It's so funny.
Yeah. And so that's funny because I get the story and then what I do is I listen to it and I can earmark I can earmark as I was doing it with Pete. You met Peter. I'd do like this. I go when I knew the lazy part, and then he'd write down the lazy part.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know. It's a big learning curve. I didn't know I did that. I had a joke about Rachel Ray jumping out of an airplane with Rachel Ray. The joke in my head was that like I had to sit on a dude's lap.
Right.
And that's just emasculating. I was sitting on a dude's lap to jump out of a plane.
Yeah, it is.
And it's just emasculating. And I'm nervous, I'm shaking. The guy's like, what are you so worried about? I go, oh, I don't know. Like, are you being serious right now? He goes, yeah, what are you worried about? And I go, that you'll get hard? I go, I don't know that I'll get hard, that we'll both get hard, and our shoe won't open, and that's how he'll find us in the woods. You into a crater, and they were like, wow, that's how that guy liked it. And so that was the joke, right? So then they go, okay, we're going. And so they get me on the thing. He goes, we're going in 3. And I didn't have any jokes in that. I didn't have any jokes. I was like, he's like, 2. I was like, suck my 3. And then he says, oh my God, your strap. I thought that was the joke. And I was like, what? And then we went. Well, when you travel with great comics, Shane Torres was like, you know what would be great in those countdowns is some jokes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. And that's when you have to go through and you go, I got the structure. I got to put some jokes in there.
Yeah.
And so then he goes, we're going in 3. I was like, hold on, I'm not hard yet. We're going in 2. Are you hard? Like you just try to find places to joke. And so a fart coming out of your ass. I just went, all right. Ralphie was the best at that.
Yeah, tell me about him. I know you were close with him.
Ralphie was...
He took you around, right?
No.
Didn't you open for him?
I opened for him a couple times, but that was like at like big events. He was impossible to follow.
Yeah. One
time I followed him, and this is what made Ralphie great. He would take a premise, and he wasn't done until he whittled it away. Like he would whittle at it until there was no jokes left. Like he had a joke about fat bastard from whatchamacallit, and he goes, "Oh, that's acceptable to you guys. You don't think maybe that hurts my feelings?"
Yeah.
And then he go, like Mexican ass bastard. What if we had that? And he pointed to a Mexican guy. Mexican ass bastard with the little name on the necklace with the baby gold teeth. How you gonna be a grown man with baby gold teeth? Or black ass bastard. I'm talking black. So black, you throw salt in his face, it looks like deep space. Just whittle it down. And whittle it down. He did a joke one time about I followed him. I said, "I'll go after you." And he went, "Are you sure about that?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna be fine." And he goes, "All right. Good luck, Bert Kreischer." And he closed on a joke about girls always say they want big. You don't want big ladies. You want baby. You want medium. You don't want no big leaving your pussy looking like a horse's lips reaching for a sugar cube. You don't want no big. Can't ride a bike for 3 weeks. You don't want no big. Oh. And he would whittle it away so that you were doubled over at like how many punchlines he added. He was so good at that. And then of course in Ralphie fashion, he then dropped he go, "Ladies and gentlemen, Bert Kreischer," and dropped the mic. And you'd have to go and pick it up. "Hey, thanks, Ralphie." He was so talented.
Where were you when you found out he passed? Do you remember?
I was at a Cuban restaurant on La Cienega, on Laurel Canyon.
Was he sick?
Yeah, but not like just always. I mean, we were all waiting for the call.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, because he just towards the end he was partying a little too hard. He was not well. I remember I got the call from Joey Diaz, and there was a homeless woman who was sitting without underwear with loose-fitting pants on the sidewalk, and I could clearly see her vagina, and it was so erotic, and it was like it was not a bad vagina, and I walked out. Joey's like, "Yo, dog, you got a second?" And I was like, "Yeah," and I walked out and I saw it, and I went, "Wow, that's not a bad vagina," and he's like, "Ralphie died," and I was like, "Oh." Yeah.
I think Ralphie would like that story, right?
Yeah. I had so many Ralphie stories.
Well, wait, speaking of health, how's your health?
It's fine.
What are you going to do?
I got to lose weight.
How are you going to do it?
I have no idea. Like you did.
You got to hike.
Internet. Well, I'm not home a lot. So I've been promoting the special, the movie. I was on tour in Australia.
I know.
And it's just tough.
Have you tried intermittent fasting?
I do that almost every day.
How long can you go?
I can go all day.
You can go 16 hours.
I can
do about 12 or 13.
Oh no, I can go 16 easy.
I can't.
But the other day it was like 4:00 and I hadn't eaten yet, and I was like, oh, yeah,
that's great.
But
that's so hard, like being on the road. You can't.
It's so hard being on the road. It's so hard. People don't understand. Like, I had a week where it was like, fly to New York, to land, do press all day long, get done, wake up, do press all day long, go to the Yankees game, fly to Miami, do a podcast, fly in the next. I mean, it's like
podcast you do in Miami.
Drink Champs, one of the best podcasts.
Oh, Drink Champs, you did?
It's so good.
Where are they from?
They're from. Well, I think they're all from New York, but they all live in Miami now, and it's DJFN and
they just host.
Nori. Yeah,
they're just like guys that started a podcast.
Well, Nori's like
those clips are always so good.
Oh yeah,
they always have the best clips.
They got the best clips, and they get the best. They get you really liquored up.
Do they?
Yeah. And so like by the end, I mean, I haven't looked at. I don't look online that much, but I've been especially not looking in my Google in my like I have a Google alert from when I was younger set to my thing, and I've just been getting out of there going like, I don't want to hear what I said about Kanye because they're like they just I don't know, man, they get you in this mode where you're like, yeah.
Do you have a hard time? People always want to drink with you.
Yeah,
and you have to say no.
No, I just drink with them. I just drink with them.
A fan? Like people just must buy you alcohol nonstop.
Yeah,
you can't.
Well, I like. There's times where I say no. Like if we're having lunch, people send over shots all the time, and I just go, oh, "Thank you so much." I've done the shots a couple times. Yeah, where it's like it's one shot, it's not a big deal.
And you would never quit drinking. No need to.
Here's the thing: is like I was talking to Brandon Novak, who was good friends with Bam Margera and been through rehab.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just do certain things that people with a drinking problem don't do. Yeah. Like I work out hard as fuck. Like I work out hard as fuck. I'm up early. I get my shit done. And then I do take breaks. I haven't taken a break literally. Well, I've taken a break this year.
What's a break? A couple months?
No, like a week.
A week.
Take a week off. Take like I'm taking. Supposed to. I know. I was just saying. I was like I'm supposed to take the rest of the week until we go on tour off. Yeah. But my mom came in. I know she's gonna want to open a bottle of wine, and then you're like. And also that's the other thing is I remember one time I had an ex-manager who was like, "When are you gonna admit you're an alcoholic?" And I was like, "Wait, you don't drink with me. You don't know how much I drink."
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, Papa. And I'm like, what? I go, bro, you don't drink with me. Like, it's funny. I have done this thing where I started setting my when I want to wake up, and then I count it back 8 hours, and I go, so the last drink's got to be an hour before that. Okay. And then I need to drink water, and I need to get to bed because I do want to wake up. I want to sleep good. Yeah. So I want to work out, and so I don't think I drink like people see, like people think. I think people think that I know people.
You'll have a couple of glasses of wine tonight.
A bottle. I have a bottle of wine.
It's too much.
For who?
For somebody our age.
No, it's just enough.
It is.
It's just enough.
You can get rid of it.
I could.
I know you can, because you know why? Because you've shown so much shown so much discipline in your life in every other way. As a good dad, as a stand-up comedian, to go out and do 5 specials, to go to Serbia and make a movie, to be a good husband, to lose that weight that you lost for Sober October. Yeah. There's no reason why you can't do something to just get rid of it.
So let's walk me through it. Let me walk you through it.
Because you know what? You're not drunk right now, and you're on fire. You're making me laugh for the last 2 hours.
Oh yeah, no.
So I don't understand what you need it for.
I don't know. I'll walk you through.
Now I'm Jewish, of course, so I don't drink. But
yeah,
go.
This is how a bottle of wine works. Okay,
tell me.
The best part isn't when you open it. That's the funnest part, but it's not the best part of the bottle of wine. Okay. The best part is the second glass when you realize there's still one more glass in there and she's only having one. So my mom will have 1 and I'll have 3. Yeah. And that third glass, that's when the ideas show up. That's when you're like, listen, if you want to be very real, that's when you find out if you have a problem. Because there's been plenty of night where I go, glass of whiskey to finish that wine off with? Maybe. And then the best is when you wake up and the whiskey's next to you in bed and you go, you dirty slut, we didn't shut up. How did you get here? Were we going to dream drunk? Are we fighting dragons?
You told me once one of your favorite things to do was to do morning radio with a little bit of drunk glaze. You know when you wake up, when you have like a few drinks, then you wake up the next morning, you're a little foggy.
Your blood sugar's off. You have a cup of coffee, and then it's just all of a sudden you're thinking weird. You're thinking really weird. Where you're going, Norwals are real? And everyone's like, what the fuck? Google it, motherfucker. Like, dude, my favorite thing for a period of time was to get morning shows drunk. Like to go in with a party planned, and bring in a party and get morning shows drunk, and then wild shit would happen.
Right.
I remember Courtney Love and I got drunk together.
What?
I think. I know M. Night Shyamalan and I did. Like, I used to go into Philly, and I would bring in a party. And then as I'd bring in the party.
What do you mean by bringing a party? A case of beer?
Bring in a bottle, bring in a case of beer, bring in something that I go, hey guys, who wants one? And they're like, I'll take one, and then everyone gets one, and then next thing you know, Kathy's had two, and then all of a sudden they're like, we got to sober up. Courtney Love's coming in. And you're like, what? We're like, we're getting her drunk, and then next thing you know, I'm shirtless with Courtney Love on my back, and we're like, whoa! And then radio, your sales through the roof.
Yeah.
I remember I was in a Speedo with M. Night Shyamalan, drinking beers on radio, and M. Night Shyamalan, one of the smartest screenwriters of our generation, is looking at me like I looked at The Sixth Sense. Like he's going, what the is this? I'm so confused. You have a job? You can work? Dude, we used to do call and stick to work shows.
Yeah.
That was the best thing. Like out of all my ideas, like I've always been an idea guy. Out of all my ideas, and I've had some really good ones. I've won awards for some of my ideas.
Yeah.
I did. I've legit.
What awards?
Damn the Torpedoes, Creative Impact in Comedy. All for like these crazy ideas of the drive-in movie theater tour, creating touring during the pandemic. I created it during the pandemic, and then my best idea I ever had was call and stick to work show. I'd go into radio with a bottle. I'd get everyone on radio drunk, and I'd say, everyone, call and stick to work. Do not go to work today. Meet me at the comedy club at 11 o'clock. I'm on my way. After this, I will be going there. Stop what you're doing right now. If you're a boss, walk into the office and tell everyone works off, we're coming to the comedy club. And they would sell out in minutes.
No.
In minutes. And we would, the first one I ever did was in DC, and I called in to Elliot just to test the idea out. Hey, if I come in like a week and I just show into radio on a Friday and I said, let's call and stick to work, can I do that with you? And he was like, are you announcing that now? Yeah. And I was like, I'm coming in Friday. I'm going to say call and stick to work. And that show sold out in 5 minutes on that day.
And you were there at 11 o'clock to meet them.
And then he's like, are you still coming in? And I was like, yeah, I'll come in. Yeah. So I flew in Friday. I did the show Friday morning, and it was, I'm talking chaotic. I mean, they were you'd show up.
You're not that famous at this point.
No, I wasn't at all.
That's cool.
And you'd show up, and
damn,
they'd be out of alcohol. The clubs would be out of alcohol. They'd be like, they got here at 8. They got here at 8. They've been outside at the doors. When they got in here, everyone ordered buckets of beer.
What's the club doing open?
The club would open up.
They'd open
up for me. And I did these call and stick to work shows, and they were the funnest thing. They were so fun, but so chaotic. I mean, like,
would they come back that night and see you, or did you do the show at 11?
I did the show at 11. I'd be done. What? I'd go like, if I did it in Tampa, I'd go to Orlando and do a show Friday night, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday, and do the call and stick to work show. I could get $5,000 at the door. That was the limit as that you could make was $5,000 most clubs.
Right.
But they sold out in minutes. I mean, in minutes. And it was the funnest. The energy was fun. I gave out Tom's phone number on one of them. A guy almost died at one of them.
Why did he almost die?
Well, he ended up dying like a couple weeks later. But he stands up and he goes, I have stage 4 terminal bone cancer. And I go, okay. He goes, buy me a drink. I was like, well, what do you want? And he goes, Jack and Diet Coke. I go, sir, you got a month to live. Go for the Coke. Have the Coke. You could use the calories. And he's like, oh, God. And he fell and he hit his head.
No way.
And the ambulance came and they had to take him out. And then like 2 weeks later, he's like, hey, my father died. And I was like, oh, shit, from the fall. And he's like, no, cancer. But he had a good time, man. We had a great time. That was a fun way to end life. And I was like, that was Tampa. I gave out Tom's show. I'm going to tell a story I told Victoria the other day. Okay.
Yeah.
In this show in Tampa, I got so drunk.
Yeah.
I got so drunk. I was never a big drinker on stage, but for these shows, I'd be drunk on stage. I'd be wasted. I gave out Tom's phone number. I didn't tell the machine, and I just walked off stage. I then take pictures for like an hour, still drinking with people. My dad shows up. Tampa's where I grew up. My dad shows up. I'm like, what? I lost my check. I'm blackout drunk.
Yeah.
I wake up that evening around 5 o'clock in a house I've never been in my entire life. And I'm like, where the am I? I get out into the living room. No one's there. I don't have my cell phone. I don't have my wallet. I lost my check. I've lost everything. And I'm like, mother, where am I? I look around and I see they have a picture of me up. And I'm like, whoa. Then I see they have a picture of my daughters in their house. And I'm like, oh, this is fucking creepy. This is really creepy. These people have a picture of both of my daughters and me in their fucking house. And then my dad walks in the door and he goes, "Hey, what do you think of the new house?" I said, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, we moved in. What do you think?" I had never been. This was their new house. He had taken me there. I didn't remember getting there.
No way.
And it was their house. And I'm walking around seeing pictures of my family going, "These f***ing psycho stalkers, they've got a picture of me from Little League? How the f*** did they get this?" Yeah, my dad. I told my dad that, and he goes, "That must have been, what did he say? That must have been 2015. I go, "Yeah, it must have been. I don't remember. John Cena was still wrestling."
Are you, tell me about, well, I'll let you go soon, but tell me about, now you're in the movie business. Tell me what that's like when you go and have meetings now, and do you like that kind of thing?
I do.
How's the movie business different than the stand-up business?
It's still country club.
Yeah.
So stand up is strip clubs.
Yeah.
Like it's strip clubs. It's how do we make money? Just tell me how to make money.
Yeah.
Sure. If we give them hand jobs, then that's what we do. That's what we do. Can we sell coke in the bathroom? Great. Awesome. We're selling coke in the bathroom.
Great.
Movie business is still country clubs. They're like, "Well, hold on. We got to run that by our board of directors." And you're like, "Well, hold on. Can we make sure we just get it done first?" And I'm like, "That's above my pay grade." If I've heard one phrase more in my entire life, it's just people. It's just things have been done like this for years.
Yeah.
And I think that the movie business is it's a really complex organism where it's like people like they want to do right by the company. They want to do right by you.
The audience.
It's really
so many moving parts.
And I got to be honest with you, I think all these companies have their tent poles that make the big money. And that's where I think, they understand where things are going. It's like, we got Avengers or Guardians of the Galaxy coming out. That's
it.
Like, yeah.
That's
and
what they're
so
focused on.
But I'll tell you right now, I always thought they would be like elitists. They're not. They're very approachable, very fun, very accommodating. Like
well, if they're interested in you,
yes.
then they probably have a good time in them, and
being a partner with Sony,
a good time.
Being a partner with Sony and with Legendary was like a dream come true. And I've met with a bunch of movie business people, but those two companies specifically were extremely open-minded to like me and the way I was running things.
Yeah.
And they were very like accommodating to like, I leaked the trailer on Rogan. You're definitely not supposed to do that.
Oh.
I got in trouble, yeah.
Were they mad at you?
No, they weren't mad at me, but they got in a lot of trouble. They got in real trouble, and they just didn't. They never came and put it on me, because you're not a trailer is supposed to be vetted by a certain organization, people who rate a trailer.
Yeah.
And
how did you show it? You just bumped it from your phone to Rogan.
I texted it to him, and I was like, "Play this on your podcast." I was like, "I want to make this movie. It's already made, and it's just sitting on a shelf because of the Ukrainian war."
That's a ballsy move.
Well, yeah. And they had my back when they could have been just
ballsy ass move,
livid. They all had my back, and they were like, "Yo, we got you."
But also, that's what's gotten you to the dance so far.
Yeah, and
like doing things like that.
Like Sony, we had the full trailer. We had the full trailer, and we were going to release it on a certain day. Mm-hmm. But I was in Tampa at the Amalie Arena, and I was like, it's my hometown. It's jumbotrons everywhere. It's 19,000 people. Can I leak it on the thing? And they're like, no. They were like legit, like, hey, hold on. It worked on Rogan. Let's stop. Let's just start following some rules. Yeah. And I was like, well, I just want to I think it would be great to play. And they're like, no, we understand that, but someone's going to record it and someone's going to post it, and then it's going to spoil our real release. So just stop. And I was like, I sat and brought it up like 5 meetings. I was like, I really think this is the move. And I go, I'm just telling you, I know how to talk to my fans. And I go, I promise you, no one's going to release it. And then, and they're like, no.
Every single one of your fans.
Yeah.
I know these guys. They're cool. Right.
So then I texted. I remember texting them like a couple days out, and I was like, "Hey, can you just send me a copy so I can show it to my parents?" And they're like, "You're gonna leak it, and we're not sending you a copy. You're gonna leak it." And morning of Amalie Arena, I get a text from Sony, and they're like, "Here's a copy. Have a good time. Do what you're gonna do." And I was like, yeah. And no one reposted it. No one leaked it. We kept it in the thing. They were really, even with that premiere, the premiere was like so next level that I'll say this about, I wish I could go I would love to name everyone's name, but I don't ever want to get anyone in trouble because I don't know what you're supposed to say or not say. But there's a lot of people that that I'm thinking of their names right now that I would love to just go, hey, thank you. Like, because you didn't have to go extra hard in the paint on that premiere. You didn't have to lean into like spending that much money. They were really they were like, it's like they're not, movie people aren't supposed to be like that.
Yeah.
And not a lot of them are, but man, Sony and Legendary were like
nice.
They were like, yeah, I mean, just shy of, I'll say this, just shy of conversations such as, hey, I don't give a fuck if this movie makes any money. Let's keep making comedies. And when you hear that at the night of your premiere, you get to wake up the next day going,
I think we all felt like that. Like all the people that like comedy, like a lot of people felt like they should. Like I talked to Fahim, and he was like, yeah, he went and saw it, and it's like it's just really good for comedy that there is a comedy because there aren't any in theaters.
Yeah, they're not. They stopped making comedies, and comedy fans need to know that it. Here's the way Hollywood works. You only make money if you make other people money. That's the way you're allowed to make money. So if I want to make money on a movie, I've got to make other people money on the movie first. Like that's the number one rule. People don't do anything in Hollywood. People don't look, me and Jason are going to do stuff for free all the time because we love making content. That's our thing. We did it for free before. We do it for free again. Yeah, we'd love to get paid, but that's not our MO. People in the industry, their MO is to make their bosses money, make themselves money, make everyone money. The only way you can make legit money in a movie is go see it in the movie theater. That's the truth. That's where everyone benefits in the industry. I know that's not a sexy answer for anyone to hear, but when things are successful in a box office, then all of a sudden that incentivizes everyone to start doing more of that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if my movie's still in the box office, but go see it in a movie theater. Go see a movie.
The Machine, guys.
Go see a movie in a movie theater, and realize that you're paying it back for comedy in general.
It's also when it is streaming. Is it streaming yet?
I don't know.
When it is streaming, it's the absolute most perfect Saturday afternoon, rainy day, hungover.
Oh, it's
like watch with your dad, watch with your kids.
I think with the best movies are the movies you don't expect to be good.
Yeah.
Like you go,
it's so fun.
What is this? And then I think it grabs you right away. And I think that's
Peter Atencio.
Yeah, he directed it.
How is doing? I'll let you go. How is doing the stunts?
I got surgery.
Wow.
Yeah, I would never do that again.
Dude, your stunt scenes are like actual
fight
karate
scenes.
and fighting and.
I fell down a mountain. I fell down a flight of stairs. I fell down half a flight, and then
stunt guy?
I had a stunt guy. So like the stunt guy did the role where it was like the whole flight of stairs, and then for me, so that we can make it look good, I got to do the beginning part. That needs to be me, and then I need to do the end part.
Yeah.
And so I rolled halfway down the stairs, and then restarted it so I didn't get my momentum too high, and rolled the second half down the stairs. Yeah, and then
in Serbia.
Oh, and I ruptured the tendons in my arms. My tricep retracted into my arm.
Jesus.
I fell down a mountain. Like it was insane.
Brutal.
I did the fight scenes like I punched so many people. Like I'm just not good. I just punched them.
Yeah, but you're supposed to come close.
You're supposed to come close, and I just would punch people. And then so a lot of reactions, and I kept going like, you can hear it in the movie. I'm like, ja,
hey Bert, can you not do that? Can you not do the kya?
They were like, hey man, but then I said to Arnold Schwarzenegger, because we when it worked out at Gold's
Gym. I saw
Gym,
you with Arnold, yeah.
I said, yeah man, I made my own sounds. He goes, yes, it's part of the thing. You get the gun, and in rehearsal you're like pop, 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 and then you do the movie and you're like pop, 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 and they're like, Arnold, don't do the noise of the gun. And he's like, I'm sorry, it's in my head.
All right, well listen, this has been
great,
our best
dude.
Podcast. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, dude. I love you. I've loved you for.
I'm so happy you came.
We've known each other for like 22 years.
Yeah, I want to come by the house. I want to see the house.
Come by the house, do my podcast.
Yeah,
I'd love to have you come on the cooking show.
Yeah, I'm down.
Do the podcast.
Yeah, and you have to check out my son's band. Great Big Cow.
I just him and Isla, I think we're in the same grade.
Yeah, but they're not in the same school anymore, right?
No. Yeah, She's got one more year. He's got one more year.
He's got one more year.
Yeah,
but they're the same grade, right?
Yeah,
but they went to the same middle school.
She brought him up the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she still follows on Instagram. I think she said that he's got like a legit band.
He's got a legit band.
Yeah. And I was like,
good.
really?
They're actually good.
She was, they're like, 'cause I think all those girls knew him. All her friend group knew him.
They're jazz musicians. They're actually, I saw them at the Catalina Jazz Club the other night, so they're actually really good. But I'll send you the song.
Please. Dude, I love you.
I love you, man.
And you're the best.
I love you. All right, guys, go watch Bert's movie, The Machine.
Check out Razzle Dazzle on Netflix.
Yeah, go watch Razzle Dazzle. It's fantastic. Bye, guys.
Bye.